All right, being a politician should not be a life-threatening job, but in some parts of South Africa it seems to be that way. Yesterday, a councillor candidate was killed in Nongoma in KwaZulu-Natal. It follows a spate of killings that have engulfed the province. Parts of Tshwane have also been identified as hotspots. At least 8 potential council members have been killed thus far. All right, let's see if we are able to be joined by violence monitor and analyst Mary de Haas. Mr. Haas, if you can hear me, I know we were having some technical glitches getting through. Political killings are not new in South Africa, but can you please talk about the scale in the run-up to these elections?
I don't know what's happened to your picture. Good afternoon, everybody. Look, the scale is no worse than it's been. It's not as bad as it was in the last elections, but of course we still have a few days to go. But the last elections the dynamics were rather different because there was a very close contest in the 2016 elections for the eThekwini Metro between the supporters between the two factions, particularly the supporters of former President Zuma, who ended up taking control of all the ANC candidate lists, and also in Msunduzi, Maritzburg. So those were the dynamics that which led to more killings last time. And this time, there's still a lot of discontent over, especially in eThekwini, where the suspended mayor of Durban, that is Zandile Gumede, who is a key ally of Zuma, some of the other candidates, she of course has not been she is no longer a candidate, and neither are some of the others that were very close to her. There's a lot of discontent about that. Talk of protest, including after the elections, because people have been excluded because they're in the wrong faction. So, but thus far, it's no worse than it has been, certainly in the last elections.
Yeah. So it's not only about control of money, quite frankly, of resources, because the councillor candidate stands to win, can possibly control who gets tenders. I don't know, they have a money bag to control, but sometimes it's also about which faction will be gaining strength. Is that what you're saying? And this would be relating to the ANC, although it's not as intense as it once was.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was more intense in the last elections, and a number of these people have been sidelined and at the moment as candidates, and there's still this contest over candidacy, and the ANC saying it will try and sort it out afterwards, the excluded people threatening protests, but it's not one or the other, it's both, because don't forget, a lot of these people who end up on party lists are there because it's the only way they'll get employment. And it's very lucrative employment, access to the salaries they wouldn't otherwise get because most of them are unemployable. So they get the salaries, they get the perks, they get the access to tenders. So it's not one or the other, it's a mixture. There's the individual incentive, but there's also, of course, behind that, the party dynamics.
How much of a threat is what's going on to our democracy?
I don't think that it's look, it's obviously something of an impediment to democracy if you can't go campaigning freely, but there are, with the lifting of the COVID restrictions, we're seeing people at rallies, we're seeing, I think one of the main inhibiting factors in these elections is the fact that the ANC doesn't have nearly as much money as it did have to finance a lot of perks for people, although there's still a lot of promises about houses and food parcels and the usual. The patronage is still being dished out. The violence obviously does inhibit it to some extent, but quite frankly, levels of violence are posing the violence you're seeing at elections is part of a bigger picture. I'm dealing with violence in other areas now, critical stuff, where people are getting killed. And it's this phenomenon of hit squads being deployed to sort things out. It could be sorting a getting at a land activist, it could be getting at someone else, but it's also, of course, used for your political opponents. And that's the real crisis we have to deal with for democracy to flourish. People are scared. I mean, people don't even want to talk to me and give me information on their phones about threats they're under.
It is another crisis. I mean, we know that there's a problem with the caliber of councillors. There's been a lot of research, and the ANC said it was doing things differently this time. Everybody talking about the skills needed to handle huge municipal budgets, complicated finances. So now some of the skilled people may be deterred. Is that a problem from even entering the political race?
Oh, look, I don't think so. It depends. Maybe not on it. I mean, look, some people are standing as independents, obviously, not on an ANC ticket. I mean, the ANC made promises that it would not field candidates who were facing charges, and there's a candidate at the moment who's still there in Pietermaritzburg, Msunduzi, and he's on trial for fraud. So, and don't forget that you can have the skills, but you're still corrupt. So sometimes it doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you're corrupt.
Okay, then let me rephrase. Good ethical people won't enter the political fray.
Look, I think some of the ethical people have become so disillusioned, certainly with the ANC. Look, I think there are people standing as independents. I know one guy, for example, who was a popular candidate in this very area where the current councillor, who should have been excluded because he's on trial, this candidate actually got stabbed at a constituency meeting by supporters of this councillor, and he's now standing as in the presence of the police, and he's now standing as an independent. And he's a popular candidate who wants to do things the right way. So, but certainly the fact that the fact that we're probably losing people of caliber because basically a lot of them are employable in other sectors. I know a lot of people who would be good, who were in government, and because they had the skills got out of government, so we've lost them. But the added danger, perhaps, of placing your life and your family's life at risk, of course, doesn't help to recruit the right people.
All right, thank you very much for that, violence monitor and analyst Mary de Haas.